RotoWire has found 4 wide receivers that can win you any week during your fantasy football season. We'll start out with A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, last year he missed 4 games, still went over 1,000 yards, 1,079 yards, and 7 touchdowns. But the thing with A.J. Brown is last year, he often didn't get many targets, only averaged 7.5 targets a game. That was a problem. But remember this. If the Eagles have any regression in their run game, or if Saquon Barkley misses time, or if the defense slides a little bit and this team has to score points, A.J. Brown, if given targets, can pile up fantasy points at a moment's notice. If he were to get 15 targets in a game, you would not be surprised to see A.J. Brown get 9 catches, 160 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and that would be a week winner. A.J. Brown, actually, from a talent perspective, I've always said this. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, they're all number 1. They just do it different ways. But A.J. Brown, one difference, doesn't get the targets those other young men get, which is the only reason A.J. Brown isn't talked about in the same way. But he can win you your fantasy week whenever he is given volume. Next player, Drake London of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Drake London is going about wide receiver 10 in average drafts, and he only had 1,079 yards last season. But that said, Drake London, it was a very, very strong season. He broke out, and we loved it. So as Drake London breaks out, it was 1,200 yards. I should back that up. But anyway, Drake London, what you saw from Drake London down the stretch was incredible football. You saw from the last 6 games, he averaged 11 targets, 96 yards. Great finish. But then Michael Penix came in the last 3 games. London averaged 13 targets, 117 yards, 2/3 of a touchdown. Drake London was hyper targeted by Michael Penix. And that is why Drake London could be a week winner. We've seen him post some 150-yard games, but Drake London is a big receiver who can win in all areas of the field, especially the red zone. And if Michael Penix gets things going, you can have Drake London winning your fantasy week for you. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit like and subscribe. It helps us keep the fantasy advice coming. And if you want even more of RotoWire's tools, rankings, and insights, we've got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. You head to rotowire.com, choose your subscription, and use the code YouTube15 at checkout. All right, a player who could win your week for you is T. Higgins. And if you roster T. Higgins in 2024, you could tell us firsthand, because in week 17, if you made it to your championship game, odds are T. Higgins carries you to the promised land. So T. Higgins going off the board as wide receiver 12 at that cost. I'm a little nervous about that because he's never had 1,100 yards, never had 110 targets. He's missed 5 games in each of the last 2 seasons. But all that said, we know the Cincinnati Bengals defense is probably going to be terrible this year. We know they're going to have to score a lot of points to keep up with opponents. We also know that Joe Burrow is an outstanding quarterback who had 7 300-yard games, 3 of those over 392. You have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins, and teams are mostly worried with Jamar Chase. And in those games where T. Higgins is going to get targets, T. Higgins can put up monstrous numbers for you in any given week. So again, at ADP, I'm a little nervous, but in terms of being a week winner, yeah, T. Higgins is there, a very good player for that. Another player who is a week winner who we don't often think of, DJ Moore of the Chicago Bears. Remember a couple of years ago in that Thursday night game against Washington when DJ Moore put up an incredible number of fantasy football points. That's the player DJ Moore can be. But if you remember DJ Moore's career, he has had a horrible list of quarterbacks. Really, you can make a case that Justin Fields may have been his best quarterback, funny enough. Now, last year, Caleb Williams was his quarterback, but it wasn't Caleb Williams' fault. He wasn't protected. The play calling was terrible. The offensive scheme was terrible. DJ Moore is a superstar. Full stop. DJ Moore now has a quarterback in Caleb Williams who will be protected. We have an offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson who will design and scheme up plays. DJ Moore has superstar ability. He was the wide receiver 6 2 years ago, the wide receiver 14 last year in a bad season. But DJ Moore in any given week, if you get DJ Moore 12 to 15 targets, and there will be weeks that happens, DJ Moore can get you 40 fantasy points because we know he can win short, intermediate, and deep. And not only that, but if you get DJ Moore the ball in space, he is a running back with the ball in his hands. And we saw last year, 85th percentile yards after the catch. So don't think twice. And DJ Moore's very affordable in drafts. You can get him right around wide receiver 20. He can win a number of weeks for you.